So it is in the spirit of Martin Luther King that we stand today in opposition of 21,500 souls being asked to prolong this madness. This plan fails militarily, this plan fails politically, and it fails to meet the standards set forth by our founding fathers. In addition, we call on our government to begin the process of returning the brave men and women who comprise our armed forces to return to their families. We are no longer interested in mission accomplished, we've turned another corner, or stay the course. This war of choice has taken a heavy toll on our nation's blood and treasure. It has led to the selective application of habeas corpus, the violation of international law, the systematic use of torture, over 3,000 Americans dead, over 20,000 wounded, and the death of an estimated 655,000 Iraqis. It must stop now. In our attempts to demonstrate to the world the nobility of our ideas and the nobility of our cause, we have shown ourselves to be no different than the enemy we claim to abhor. As New York Times columnist Tom Friedman so accurately assesses, through our tax dollars and energy consumption, we are funding both sides of the war on terror. It was immoral to invade Iraq. It is immoral to stay. And given what we've done, it will be immoral to leave. But we cannot support a policy that keeps our men and women in harm's way because we are unable to admit the gravity of our mistakes. We call on our government to return to the values that made America the great nation that it was and can one day be again. We say this not because we hate America. Quite the contrary. We say this because we love America. And because there can be no great disappointment where there is no great love. We stand today at the crossroads, at the intersection of war and peace. And while the gravitational pull of war is strong, it must give way to the indomitable force of peace. For in the words of Marvin Gaye, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. This Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, and Christian belief about ultimate reality is what binds each of us together. It is why we've come out today. And it is what propels us to take the stands that we're taking. But let us also accept Martin Luther King's challenge to us. On April the 12th, 1963, in which I believe is King's best work, 8 white clergy published an open letter to appeal to the Negroes of Birmingham, I use Negroes in quotations, to ignore the so-called outside agitators in order to allow the long overdue process of equalization under the law to take its natural course with all deliberate speed and disavow any further civil disobedience. They wrote, "We do not believe that these days of new hope are days when extreme measures are justified." Martin King took exception to being called an extremist, and he wrote in his famous letter from Birmingham jail the following: "Though I was initially disappointed at being characterized as an extremist, as I continued to think about the matter, I gradually gained a measure of satisfaction from the label. Was not Jesus an extremist for love? Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them that despitefully use you. Was not Martin Luther an extremist? Here I stand, I cannot do otherwise, so help me God. And John Bunyan, I'd stay in jail to the end of my days before I make a butchery of my conscience. And Abraham Lincoln, this country cannot survive half slave and half free. And Thomas Jefferson, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal." So the question that you and I must answer today is the same question that Martin Luther King posed in 1963. Not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists will we be? Will we be extremists for love or extremists for hate? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice? Will we be extremists for war or will we be extremists for peace? So let us today, in the courageous prophetic spirit of Martin Luther King, declare our own declaration of interdependence by committing ourselves to the struggle that fear and hatred is no match for possibility and hope. We stand here today, and we must be honest. We also must ask for forgiveness. We must have a self-reflective moment for our own shortcomings, because we all have participated in the silence of consent, because we've allowed, through our collective silence, we have allowed guns, the death penalty, tax cuts, war, the destruction of our natural resources, and the dehumanization of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender brothers and sisters to be synonymous with the will of God. We too are guilty of dancing to the seductive melody of nationalism's "you're either with us or against us" chorus, which is nothing more than the morphine of comfort that allows one to condense dissent into a lack of patriotism. But we proclaim today that dissent is the oxygen of democracy, and without it we would risk choking on the fumes of our own megalomania. We confess, as Martin Luther King said, that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. And because we hold these worldviews, we also understand that those who don't agree with us are not our enemies. They are our brothers, whether they realize it or not. But we do hold certain truths to be self-evident, that all are indeed created equal, and we're all endowed with certain inalienable rights, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And because it is the pursuit of happiness, we further recognize there's a nexus of hope that stands in the gap, a nexus of hope that reminds us that justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream, a nexus of hope that reminds us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning, a nexus of hope that will make the rough edges smooth and the crooked places straight. And not only does our interdependence connect us to each other, it also connects us to our past. Therefore, we believe that Martin King was right. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. We believe that James Russell Lowell was right. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne, yet it is the scaffold that sways the future. We believe that Fannie Lou Hamer was right, for we too have become sick and tired of being sick and tired. We believe that Gandhi was right, an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind. We believe that Abraham Heschel was right, the road to the sacred leads directly through the secular. We believe the old blues song was right, that the sun will shine in my back door someday. For in the words of John Kennedy, here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. Thank you.